Well, I'm here now with Brad and Heidi McCutcheon. Bradley Air Company is getting ready for its first Shelton Mason County Chamber of Commerce after hours. This is an exciting thing for you guys. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
The business has been around since 2017, started here in the backyard and has moved on to Johns Prairie Road. And you guys are everywhere. I see your signs, I see your trucks, I see the crews out and about. And it's got to be pretty fulfilling, Brad, to kind of see this dream become probably maybe more successful than you anticipated.
Yeah. It's kind of surreal to sit back and see it after 8 years. You kind of get in the grind for a while, and it's just like the next thing you know, you have, more employees than you ever thought you would have, and it is surreal.
Lots of, and I was one of my questions, so let's get into it. How many people do you have on staff these days over the course of a year? As you know, sometimes there's busier seasons than less, but how many employees do you have now?
14 full-time employees that I've had for over 2 years, and then I've had a fluctuation up to 16 in some of the busier times of the year.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing when you think about the ripple impact that you have in the community. Obviously, you two are big in our community regardless, but now with this venture, the folks that not only rely on you as an employer, but then the people that rely on you for keeping their homes warm and cool and safe and things like that, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Did you think that it was, tell me about it from your side, Heidi.
Well, I knew that Brad would be successful because he always answered the phone.
Right.
I think probably the hardest thing about business is, you want to let it go to voicemail and then hear what it is and call people back. And Brad can't help but answer the phone and call people back within a very timely manner. So I knew that he would do well. It's been fun to see how well and how much he's scaled it. I think at our last Christmas party that we had, and then you've got all of the team there, and then you've got the spouses, and it really kind of lets you sit back and realize the impact that you have on the people that you work with day to day. And it's also, my heart's always been in the community. And so it's been really nice to be able to be involved from a business sense in what's happening in Mason County too.
And what you do in the HVAC space, again, really is you're often you're there when people are either building their home and they're excited about that thing, or they're in a real tough struggle and all of a sudden, the heat pump's out or something's not working, and you have to work with them and be there for them in those regards. That's got to be something else.
Well, that's the portion of I always enjoyed being a service technician. It's not always fun. Sometimes you got to deliver news people don't want to hear.
Right.
But it's also exciting when you're getting somebody heat that doesn't have heat when it's cold outside or hot outside. And the people that are thankful are the ones that you work for.
Yeah.
Not everybody is can be happy about some of the prices and stuff. So it's kind of it is, but that is part of the joy that I always got out of being a service technician and fixing things for people, and that so. And
plus, being here, you work here and you live here. And so, Heidi, when you were with the Shelton Mason County Chamber, people would come to you and say, "Oh man, we had a great, business expo or bite or something like that." Kind of a business to business experience. Now, I'm sure when you're out and about, people see you and they continue. If they've used, Bradley Air, they go, "Things are still working great." I can't believe the great work the crew did when they came and did that. So it's like a whole nother level of interaction in the community.
It was. The bite was great for that, actually. It is great to see, especially a lot of the low income people that we're impacting and the change it makes in their life is probably some of the biggest, because some of those people have never lived with air conditioning, and they've never lived with a source of heat that is nice, like a heat pump does for their whole house. It's usually been like little cadets or plug-in heaters or whatever. A lot of the more moderate people have had a heat pump or have a whole house furnace or whatever else. So the low income program's done a great job, and I've loved to see that. And we did get really good feedback from the bite from customers,
from folks who do
just
that.
walking up and saying thank you.
The PUD has such good programs right now for low income, and it's not even, you don't have to own the house to qualify for it. So you can be a tenant who is lower income and below the threshold, and you can apply for it on behalf of your landlord. And so potentially your landlord would be like, I don't really want to invest this much into the house, but through the PUD's program, the tenant can apply for it as long as the energy bill is in their name, and be able to have a whole heat pump, heating, cooling system installed for them.
And those thresholds are a lot more generous than what I think people fully understand, especially when you think about kind of the average annual income in Shelton, Mason County, and the other counties that you service. There's folks that can really get a long-term benefit from these things. Even homeowners, if you're renting, they can go, like you said, I don't know about this, but in the long run, it helps everything. I had a question I was thinking about when we were getting ready for this. If somebody's had their heat pump or maybe even those cadets in the home for years, and they're like, it's warm in the summer, or it's warm in the winter, and we've figured out how to be cool in the winter. But how different is the technology 5 years, 10 years, even year over year, that folks would see like a massive difference? I know we talk a lot about kind of the steps in the heating now, where it will go on a 30% as opposed to just on and off, but like efficiency wise and things like that. Is it that big of a difference?
Yeah. I'm trying to find a way to quantify it over the radio airwaves of how different a ductless heat pump is versus the cadet in the wall, but it is a huge difference. The cadets over the wall typically have the thermostat built right over the top of the heater.
Yeah.
And so it turns on, heats up for a little bit, and it heats up a perimeter, probably about 3 feet, 4 feet around that heater. The ductless heat pump basically heats, and it just continually pushes out heat over the day, and it runs at a really low amp draw, which, as you're filtering all that air up through it and blowing it back out, helps condition a bigger space and helps the whole space be more comfortable instead of just a little sliver next to the heater. So,
and people probably then become accustomed to that, so they build their lives around being near those portions, so they don't really necessarily get back into the rest of the rooms where...
We've done lots of places where people have said that it actually opened up a bigger portion of their house because especially elderly people, they loved their fireplace, and basically they lived within 6 feet of their fireplace, and now they started living actually in the rest of their house because of the ductless heat pump, and it's just that's one example that I have, but I'm sure there's many, many more out there.
Yeah, I think even the regular heat pumps. So my parents had one that was 15 years old, and they just replaced it this last summer. And already my dad, he's watching, and he's like, I think our power bill went down like $65 this year. Yeah, so even, matching technology, which isn't that old, so to speak, it makes a big difference, not only on your power bill itself, but also it just... I don't want to get into ampage and all of that, but it's pretty interesting, the different things that people have.
Yeah, the level of comfort in the new technology, whether it's a ducted heat pump system or ductless with the variable speed, is basically they add longer run times, which a lot of people are saying, it's running longer, it's using more amps. It's not. It's actually running longer, but using a lot less amps because it's running at a much lower amp draw. But the fact that it's continually moving air, the continually moving of air is what helps condition all the spaces and keep all the spaces kind of the same temperature. Because as you're moving that air, it's all mixing together.
Because people will go into some rooms, they're like, we don't normally come in this room, so I'm going to close off this vent here or half this vent here. And that doesn't help anything necessarily because that's the way the house was built, and the design flow was for everything to be fully open and move through.
Yeah, on a single speed heat pump, that can actually be a detriment because you can actually add to a lack of airflow, which then the compressor is designed to move a certain amount of heat across the indoor coil. With a variable speed piece of equipment, you can actually have more flexibility in that because the compressor can then adapt to those settings. But yeah, that's not the proper way to adjust it.
And you're not necessarily doing yourself any benefit in those houses, in those rooms where it's full on.
Not typically. No, you could
like,
see you could see like a little
feel
bit of energy benefit from it, but you can actually do more damage to your system than the energy benefit would be worth.
Sure.
If you closed enough of them. Typically, one is not going to be a big deal, but if you see people have 10 registers in their house and they're closing off 5, that's blocking half the airflow that they should be getting across their system.
And that airflow then too, for people with allergies and whatever. Like that helps flow it and then get through into the air filters to kind of get that out of the whole house. So 14 employees now, like how many of these units or how often are you installing new things? Like what's kind of the work week look like?
Oh, the work week. We run about 8 to 10 installs a week between ductless and ducted systems. And then we run as a service company.
For commercial.
For commercial, we run about 40 service calls a week. And the residential side probably runs another 10 to 12 a week, somewhere in there. Those are kind of, it depends. It really depends on the time of year. But
what are, in your, so Mason, Thurston, Lewis?
Yep. Commercial, yeah.
We go pretty much up the Olympic Peninsula.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Commercial footprint is much bigger than the residential footprint. The residential footprint is much, probably Bremerton, south to West Olympia, over to Elma, and then up the 101, up to like
Brennan.
Pleasant Harbor, Brennan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the main difference between commercial and residential? I mean, in like, obviously the size of the units and things like that, but...
Well, and some of the units for commercial are the size of a small house. Like, they have different rooms and different chambers within them, so it's, sometimes you'll, like, if... because of Brad, now I notice what's up on top of buildings.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where before I'd just be like, there's like another room up there. No, that's the heating and cooling equipment in and of itself. So, and then depending on, like he does Little Creek Casino. And so, if it's the hotel side of things versus the food service side of things.
Oh, okay.
And so, you go to the seafood bar and all of that steam comes up and it's got to go somewhere. And so there's just so many different types of commercial work that he does.
If you're not in the business, this is the type of business that folks don't think about until something goes wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
When everything's damp and sweaty in the seafood bar, there's no air moving in it.
Yeah.
It's
time to make a call.
Right.
Yeah, because there's just so many things on the commercial side. Residential, I think everybody kind of wraps their mind around that, but we could be working on one day, we could be going from anywhere from a walk-in cooler to working on a 100-ton train package unit, which is something the size of a cargo container.
Yeah.
And that's the variables that we can work on. So that's probably why we service most of the bigger businesses that are in this area, is because we are a local company that can do that. I mean, if you want to get somebody else that can do any of that kind of style of work, you're looking minimum of Olympia area,
Sure.
to come into the area to do it, so.
Plus everybody knows you guys. Might as well.
Yeah. And travel's expensive.
Yeah.
People don't realize, we pay for the guy like when he leaves the office. So if they're coming from Gig Harbor or Olympia, it makes a little bit of a difference in your bill.
For sure. So big after hours coming up, and these are always great events for folks who, again, know of Bradley Air, but then maybe have only seen the logo at the different things that you sponsor and support, right? But then, so what is the plans? What do we got planned here for?
So, one of the things that I didn't realize until I met Brad is that, it's in those seasons, like right when the first freeze hits, and it's when everybody's heat pump gets stressed, right? Like right now it's, pretty even going because the weather isn't hotter than it has been, it isn't cooler than it has been. But in fall, when that first freeze hits, it strains those systems and people's things break, or they realize, oh yeah, I've been talking for 3 winters and I need to upgrade to XYZ. So one of the focuses that we'll have at this after hours is, are you ready for fall?
Okay.
Because now is the time, and kind of the easygoing weather. We have time on the books. We've got guys that we can get out in a couple, I don't even know what the schedule is. Can we get them out next week for residential?
We're about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
No.
That's still better than...
Yes.
Yeah.
And as soon as that first freeze hits, then everybody's stuff breaks, and then we're busy like fixing things instead of installing and updating things. And so we will have that focus on, are you ready for
That's
fall?
smart.
The first freeze is coming. I mean,
Right.
actual football season is here.
It's here.
It's coming.
We don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but it is going to get
Yeah.
cold very
Yeah.
soon. And like you said, 3 years can go fast.
Yeah.
I mean, people's lives and whatever. You go, oh, yeah, no, I thought about calling you guys. Or didn't we talk about this before? Yeah, that was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We initially planned to do this. So really important. That's, again, one of these kind of ounce of prevention, pound of whatever.
Yeah.
And again, the PUD has such good incentives and rebates right now that if people haven't looked at them, they should at least just Google it and find out what is available, because it's surprising some of the energy upgrades, etc., that they have. That is, you think that it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, and it's a lot more reasonable with some of those energy rebates out there.
Plus great power rates with PUD3.
Absolutely.
And you're here, they're here. What about the paperwork? Do you guys handle that? Does the homeowner have to deal with all that?
So the rebate program, the financial qualifications are with the PUD. They get approved, and then once they bring that paperwork to us that they're approved, that's when their paperwork stuff is pretty much done. We take care of all the rest of the paperwork as far as getting the permits, getting the paperwork back to the PUD that needs to be the appropriate and all that stuff. And we actually, they actually don't pay, they don't pay us for the rebate. We actually wait for the rebate money to come back from the PUD. So they're not out the rebate money.
Okay.
So they're actually just putting their deposit down that's needed for the difference for that PUD rebate. And then we're able to install it. We get all the paperwork filled out, and we actually wait for that rebate check to come in. So people aren't out of pocket money. So
yeah. That makes sense. So falls upon us, and you mentioned maybe a couple weeks out to come and get a service call. If something were to, we should really consider upgrading, or this is like on its last legs. What's kind of the wait time on that?
So that's where I guess I need to define that a little better. For a service call, we're typically next day on the residential service. And then an install is about 2 weeks out.
Oh, that's not...
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Sure.
So we're pretty responsive on the service stuff, especially if it's mixed in. We have to do a blending of mixing our maintenances with our service calls,
Yeah.
And so we try to leave time in there for while we're doing maintenances and these fall maintenances that we have time to do some service calls and stuff like that. So it's just those peak seasons when we start getting that first 30-degree day out,
And then everybody starts calling.
Yeah, it's never going to fail. It will never fail that extra people will call.
Yeah.
So
if you called us tomorrow for an install, we could likely get it spec'd, give you the bid, and have that in before Oyster Fest.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a good kind of demarcation to really starting to get
Right.
colder weather. Well, very cool. I mean, again, you guys have been doing so great in the community, and we see the signs everywhere that you're such big supporters, and you always have been. So it's just cool to think about almost 8 years, almost 10 years here working on things, 14 employees. It does fly. It goes fast. That's pretty awesome. Well, good for you guys. After hours is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. Again, it's an opportunity for folks to learn more, see more, and get these services. Stop by the house, maybe the business as well. What's the difference on the business side of the wait?
Business side of the wait?
Like if a corporate...
So typically the business side is developed around current customers, and they're continuously calling us.
Sure. There's always something.
When you have 1,000 pieces of equipment at one site, it seems like there's always something going on.
Yeah.
So, and
somebody's coming in and
then
they're
you have,
adjusting.
Yeah, and
thing.
you have 100 of those customers. It keeps It keeps we have three commercial service technicians. It keeps them busy pretty much year round. And so we are typically on a same day with commercial, just because of this person may have $10,000 worth of king crab legs in their freezer, or $100,000, and so that stuff is or it may be a hospital and the MRI machine is down because the chiller's down. So that's just an aspect of the commercial job that's a little bit different than residential, where that's more, I wouldn't say it's more of a comfort thing, but we don't have 120-degree weather here where it's typically a crisis. I'm going to die if I don't get this.
Yeah, I hear you. So good to get that conversation started.
Yeah.
To fit in when avail.
Yep.
Well, very cool. Well, I'll put the links to, of course, the website and everything when I post this. But it was good to see you guys, and it's super cool how things have been going for you. And have fun at the after hours.
Yeah, thank you.